I'll refer to as many different things as I can. I'm kind of just going to wing it today. So, yep, so we'll answer some questions. I wanted to do a Q&A like this for a while now. So this is a good chance to kind of get it going. Like, just post it in the comments and I'll see it. The first thing, merch store is different types of products. Mostly it's going to be shirts, hoodies, and stickers. We do have a couple of pillows, all kinds of cool stuff. Right now we're uploading new things all the time. So the games that we have on here is, I thought this one was pretty cool. This is our down here. So we have and quantity and a background on it. It's got some different pieces of artwork kind of in the background. Looks pretty slick, I think, honestly. This comes in red, we put on there as well, and we're working on more stuff all the time. So if you hadn't checked that out, then now you have, and that's exactly what it looks like. So I'm going to turn off my display capture there so you don't have to see all my stuff anymore. But yeah, that's about I'm a big fan of like a general sense, I think, or like about it, or more of like about people watch, like, and Shroud is one of, as much as I feel like it's just gonna be, once again, like I said, if you have any questions or anything, post them in the comments. Like, let's just let me just get it out of the way. I am not like, I don't have to win a game, I just want to perform well in the game, and that's the standard that I hold myself to personally. And I think board games have some sort of a currency system, right? You have gold or dust, have something. So right, because you don't have a whole lot of money left, and it's hard for you the rest of the game to kind of keep up with everyone else, right? Now, then yeah, go for it, totally. But more of, think of the game as a whole. Like, even from the first turn, like, you don't think about it as established strategy. If you how to build that, but you also usually your curve, quote unquote, mana, or it could be an artifact that makes mana rock, whatever you want to call it. But the idea of ramping is putting yourself in a game position on a faster timeline, right? Because there may be points of the game where people start off buying really engine building game, right? So you're like, they got this really powerful, like anybody's played Res Arcana, for example. There's a lot of really powerful things in there, but some of them have a very high cost. As early as possible, trying to play catch up. Like, there's like a curve, right? Or think of it like a scale, like a step. It's like an angle like this or like this. It's going to be long as early as possible, and it will carry you through the game. Consistency is the most important thing. If you can just build a consistent economy, like if you have a static income the game gives you, and then a little bit extra on top, like the things that you buy. So like, think of it as like I guess like a range of, like, you know, your highest and your lowest point, and you want to utilize all of your mana effectively, or make sure that you don't tap out your mana when you're not supposed to stuff. And what I mean by that is, a lot of games, it's really easy to focus on exactly what it is that this is like. So Seven Wonders, obviously being a drafting game that basically every tabletop gamer in the world has played at this point. Which, if you're in a 3-player game, that's all you have, that's totally fine. But let's imagine this being a 4 or more player game where it's like your neighbors plus certain expansions. You're not going to interact with the other players at the table pretty much at all. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't be or can't use, but you're taking it for the sole purpose of denying certain expansions. But in general, I still need to be cognizant of the fact that they're in now. Either I can gain points or I can deny points. If you're gaining points with this choice, and you're paying attention to specifically some other players, control very quickly. So even them losing just one symbol can mean the difference between an extra 7 points, 10 points, 15 points, you know what I mean? And you know what you need to do, and you know what you're looking for. So if you already know, then don't spend so much time trying to make this, okay, that guy's drafting monuments, okay, that guy's, like, that kind of thought process, if you know what I mean. Improve myself is basically what you're doing. Aha, Wes, any new content expansions coming for Deception? As of right now, I don't know, to be completely honest. As far as when you have a game like the play experience in an optimal way, or put that second to just because we know that we can. We're talking from a sales perspective, right? So many games that come out constantly, your game's just a flash in the pan. So I know that we've made that they won't play Champions without Valhalla because those extra mechanics took the game to another level, right? So like that's the future. So that's my thoughts on that. Oh, we have a thing here. What is up? because I do feel that a lot of companies, this isn't my personal stream, so I'm constantly a constant expectation of how much the market can absorb of it, right? Drops, for example, you know, whatever company makes it. Just here's a new card game. It's an LCG, so you don't have to buy boosters. You just buy the content as we release it. It just disappears because there's something else that just came out that everybody's talking about, right? That rate of release that they've established right after trying to ride the hype wave, like cycles, right? Here's the base game. Here's the cycle of expansions. Here's a big expansion. Here's a cycle of expansions. Or like, yeah, release this once a month. Release this once a month. Release this once a month. Whatever. That model works beautifully. And I'm not saying that it does works, that's why they keep doing it. The game, Logic, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Pokemon, those big trading card games, Keyforge is around and still has like a real... It's such an awkward market, I would say, as that is designed for expansions, like an LCG, for example, or whatever. There's no formula for continuing that hype or that success. But it's just... It's dangerous. I don't know. So that's kind of my rant about that. Is we walk a line of a little bit, but I've been around Gray Fox for like 6 years or so or something like. Order of the Gilded Compass. That was a game that we released. It's a great game. Didn't really find its legs, unfortunately, but they never added more content. It's for the sole purpose of enhancing the game experience. And for me personally, I vary mindset. Since I just talked about it, let's bring it up here a little bit. So our game, Bushido, it is a, I think up here locally, we're in St. Louis is where we're based out of. But one of the things that I did was that I took Bushido and created that are in there. And you really need to. The game is in St. Louis until the pandemic happened and we had to step away from it. But we created a, if you've ever played a card game before, you know there's different formats. Other games is like a deck, but in Bushido you don't use a deck, right? So what we 5 techniques, with these techniques, right? That's how it works. Is you can't move cards from kit and set their guard. So if player A goes from, they'll pick a new kit, the tournament as either like a Swiss tournament or like a round robin kind of thing. It's just based on like how long you want the event to run. It's pretty flexible with that tournament side of it, but that's the idea, and that's part of the elegance of the game. But I talked with him about it, and after especially like running people about the game and playing these formats, it was really interesting. I'd be really interested to give that a shot. But yeah, so keep an eye out for that. So once we get that established, we'll release a thing. If that sounds cool, if you play Bushido and you know that, that's that. So that is, yeah, I'm kind of just spitballing here and rambling and see how it sticks. So, like I said, this all stems from my personal belief. And the first time you knew what was going on, and then you really, great question. Yes, it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Fridays for the stream days with us. So I don't know right this second what I'm going to be doing, but we're going to be doing something, Mythos Tales, because I've been doing a side thing for once or a few times a month. I'd show up, we'd set up some games, you know, run a game night, have some fun, do stuff like that. Just like that real, you know, I'm creating those connections and extend it through the wonders of technology, right? I wanted to have a way to where people could interact with us and, you know, have people hop on the stream and I know who they are and like have some fun and like ask me questions in a short manner. So I don't know what I'm playing next week. Just Mythos Tales for sure. Keep an eye out on this. From there. That's what we'll do. We'll go from there. Whew. Talking is tough. Oh yeah, right now. Okay, cool. So guess what? Let's hang out. Let's be friends. Player awareness, whether it's players. This one kind of comes with, takes one with a little bit of a grain of salt, right? I keep talking about how, at a point, I'll go ahead and I'll just make it, it's pretty much impossible to do this with a game you've never played before unless you have seen the game played or watched the game played before you've played. Leaders will increase that. You have to have a mix of them, but predetermined strategy too. Probably not recommended every single time unless you're prepared for it, but that's a predetermined strategy. How to navigate through those options. I'm a big fan of the DC deck builder. I do a lot of custom stuff with that game. Like I have a custom cube I've created for their crisis mode and stuff, which like I would love to talk crisis mode, or if it's the just the base mode of the game, which is the competitive mode. You only really have a way of interacting with that on much. But both of them still require villains. There's a world where villains are never available on my turn the entire game. So I have to have backup plans. So if I only know villains, and I only know what those possibilities are with those cards, I'm going to be lost on everything else for the most part. So that's it's a very if this then that kind of concept. Yep, so quick recap. We have strong economy. I'll hop in on this discussion, whatever you'd like to do. Is there another strategy thing that I can talk about? There's like generally all strategy, like a shin or, you know, give me something, because I'm just rambling over here. Kind of just now that I think is really important, and in a time of information, everything you want to know is at your fingertips on the internet. You can find out literally anything. So easy to like. Let's talk about the consumer side of this first. So let's talk about a game that you have purchased or you're going to purchase because of all the things that you've read online, all the things you've heard people say. In your mind, you correlate Champions of Midgard to. You're gonna feel more jaded about it because of those expectations. I almost burped all over this microphone. Excuse me. It's possible that that extends to the company, to Gray Fox, and now in your mind it's like form an opinion, like a true opinion, into whatever else. So expectations from a consumer standpoint. Is a lot of times I've seen this happen with myself. I've done it, and I've seen it happen with a lot of people, and that's just a personal thing. But we live in a world where in the opinions, right? I love that I bought without knowing anything about unquote hit. So if you're where like I will only formulate my own opinion about something when I experience it, and outside of finally experiencing it, I will hold all expectations of it. Because otherwise, I don't feel like I don't form a true opinion of it, right? And that has extended accessible to get more board games into the world through crowdfunding, which is amazing. In our industry, a large portion because of platforms like it's the expectation on Kickstarter. So like you get stretch goals, you get exclusives, you get things on Kickstarter that you don't get things here at the company. That's not what I do at all. So this is just from my personal opinion, and all of the Facebook groups and this and that, and all the theme force them not to back the game. Is take a gaming experience like purely, right? So like here's a great example of a game that had an expectation or formed an opinion long beforehand. The production, gorgeous. Game looks beautiful. Right? This game is the highest of all time, right? Let's just say that they do that. Things that I could have done that I'm glad that I didn't. When I went into playing this for the first time at BGG, I knew things about the game from what I'd seen online. Hour and a half to 2 hours or whatever. There's a possibility there where I could have played that game and I could have nitpicked it like this. I don't do this and that. And then the game wind, their experience with great games, right? Like I've seen, like there's a lot of there's universally accepted like amazing great games that are not loved by people. Like I may catch some flack for this. I'm gonna go as like besides a well-designed game, right? Like it's a good game, production quality is high. Like I'm not and it's dangerous. And like I said, I see people the game for exactly what it is, and then see how you enjoy it. And the funny double-edged sword of tabletop gaming, and like you're never gonna be able to play all the games. It's impossible. So you have to try to decide whether or not you understand how the game functions and happening. Race for the Galaxy is one of my favorite games of all time. I still play it constantly. I play it on my phone all the time. Like I love Race for the Galaxy. But the first time I played it, I had no idea what was going on. Look, it being to play it with your understanding of how it's understanding. Understanding is the most important thing when it comes to basically any subject in the world. The biggest point of conflict. That's the funny part of this discussion is when money is involved, because whenever you invest money into something, I feel like if I paid money for this, oh yeah, I forgot I can't read, or temporarily who is now a professional in the gaming industry. Yes, I called myself a professional. Can you believe it? And those rules are so temper your expectations, And oh, that way you're never disappointed. Pretty much, honestly, that's basic. Then you'll never be disappointed. It's an amazing game, but just like zero, either low expectations or I'm saying zero expectations. You take that, apply it to every aspect of your life, and I promise everything will improve. Let us pronounce mythos, not myth, ever you want. I've yeah. So is there anybody have any more questions? Anything you want me to talk about? Anything burning in your brain about I've always wondered this about the gaming industry. How does this work? Or should pineapple go on pizza? Let's see here. So that game is a partner. That's a partner game with us for games, and for having the English edition and being basically an English distributor. So whenever we publish games like here, like Champions of Midgard, our game, and then we own the rights to the English version of that game. And if we could, the rights to it. So when it comes to doing extra content for the game, if I remember correctly, you guys, I wanted to be a tester or even storyboarding. For what? Like storyboarding for War of the because it's on the same map. Everything of War of the Worlds is exactly the same every time. I've played War of the Worlds enough times, like I know many strategies in War of the Worlds on both the human and the alien side, and part of that, knowing that it's set up, it operates this deck. This is the deck I always want to play with. You understand that deck, and you know that deck inside and out. And that an expansion for Reavers is in the category of we want to do it, and if we were to do it, it would happen at this time. I don't have time, and then through and through. It's a strategy Euro game, but it's one of those games where in turn order, right? So I'll go to this space. I get this. I don't know who. I've never been. Time someone goes to that space, whether it's you or them, all in on. I now have to be aware of that because, like, think of it like this. I know for a fact he wants those benefits because he went all in on it. Things. So if I wasn't paying attention, he's getting with him instead of enabling benefits. You always want to find if you can find a way to gain resources for free, especially if like. Oh, that dude goes to catch a lot of heat for things that happen during the Kickstarter, which for the people don't realize a single thing. Like, I mean, some do, but it's very rare. A lot of unfortunate events, and we try to deal with everything as best we can. And unfortunately, but yeah, if we did a new set of mechanics or cards that get added without having to change the board, that's the only thing I know for sure about it. Fuel of our industry right now. And Gray Fox is not a super small company. You know, we are definitely call us like an average size company if we're going off of sizes here. Like we're in the middle, right? But even like take a look at like Cool Mini or Not's one of the biggest companies in the world, and look at them, and they still take their games to kick. Initial like the Kickstarter campaign sizing or closing our doors, that's all it takes in this industry. Is to have one bad investment that you can't recover from. And that's the reality of many industries, not even just the gaming companies, you know what I mean? We honestly just can't afford to because they don't have the money to do it otherwise. So like for Reavers, like hey, we're gonna do expansion for Reavers. It's also gonna let us reprint the game. And then that way it's how many reprinted? Let's just say print the game or make it as an add-on. Yes, the small games, like there's some small games that we have in the pipeline. Anything that is like smaller or an expansion, maybe not, but for games like Reavers or Champions or anything that's like our bigger titles, especially because we want to make so much of it initially, we do have to take it to crowdfunding. Got our first proof copy of the game. Measurements are correct, make sure all the components are, but I think right now it's definite answers on this stuff right now. All I can say for sure is that we're to get it printed, shipped over, and then distributed from us. So that's we have the proof copy, and I will be doing a stream showing. If anyone's watching, if you are not subscribed to our newsletter, we do post updates. So other questions? Anything that's sometimes we get stuff out of left field, like, oh, are you gonna do a second edition of Captain's Wager? We're like, oh, that much. It is cool. That's the thing that you can very much count on working in the gaming industry, is that it's what it is. Like, you can't tell me looking at these banners back here, it's cool. We like cool stuff. So, it is cool. Pretty much everything about the industry is cool for the most part. I just started rambling about things that came off the top of my head. We're happy with it. Just the fact that anyone's interacting with me. I could have been like, man, if I don't have 100 viewers and 30 people in my chat at all times, I'm not going to be happy with it. I could be real sour about it. But yeah, I can tell you they are not cool, but I would be lying. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Like, it's so cool. Like, not even talking. There is a. I don't even know what I was. Yeah, it's a cool. Like, there's a theme that fits what you're talking about. Like, we're humans, right? It's part of the human condition. At all. It can be Gen Con. It could be one of the largest conventions in the world, or it could be your local convention that's got 100 people at it. Whatever it is. But I guarantee you can go to that convention. You can smile on their face. You know, like, I mean, part of the Dallas Metroplex, but if you ever right? And I was like, you know what is it? Tell me about it. And he's like, you ever watch that show Firefly? And I couldn't run to that table fast enough, because like this super nice the entire time that we gamed. I was one of those young men who didn't have a whole lot of responsibilities at the time, so I was just like, cool. I bought enough food to technically live off of. I paid my bills, and the rest of it, I'm just gonna buy $400. Kind of gush about my company a little bit here, Gray Fox Games. My first experience as at a convention. I'd only ever been to one convention in my entire life. In high school, I went to an anime convention in Florida called JCon. It's no longer around, but I went to an anime convention, which was an experience all on its own. If you've never been, and it explained that it was their volunteer program for conventions, and it was like, yeah, you got selected, so if you want in, that's my hometown, that's where I was at the time, Gen Con being in Indianapolis, and we drove up there, but I got this random email, and I was like, let's just do it. We were already playing board games all the time and stuff anyway, so let's go check out what it can. Really changed my life, because not only did I get to see this massive grand scale experience that is Gen, it's insane. I mean, people kind of foam at the mouths trying to get to the booths first or whatever, but like outside of the vendor hall where it's a little crazy, playing games. And I haven't met a single bad apple yet. And I met a lot of Gray Fox about working for them for years, and I basically flew out to do these cons with them a few times a year, and then eventually joined the company full time as I am here now, as you can see. So pester people weren't complete trash. Basically is what, and like these long war games, so I've seen people play a game of diplomacy over the entire course of a convention, you know what I mean? Experience, for the most part, like there's some salt here and there, you know, people can be a little salty about it, but for the most part, even if they lose, everyone still high five, says good game, you know, whatever. Like it's the pure enjoyment of the experience that is tabletop gaming that was like so appealing to me. And that's like part of what helped me like temper things and try to just enjoy whatever's in front of me for whatever it is, for like whatever Mythos Tales is. No expectations. It's just, like I said, if you ever get the chance, go to literally any convention you can get to, and just go experience firsthand. Local game stores are a little tough. I've been there to play something specific like Magic, right? Outside of sometimes that local difficulty, like the counter to that is, there's a million Facebook groups. You can literally go and just look up board group, will somebody play games, and just look at how people discuss things and how they talking in like other hobbies and like video games, doing a game night or at a game store to help and like get involved with like doing cool stuff. Go take a look at this stuff and get that understanding of why this hobby is truly great. Share this sense here, so that's good. Asking me some questions, commenting, interacting with me. The solo streaming thing is really tough, playing games, and it's hard to keep up that engagement. So, you know, if you're ever tuning, and it's what I love to do. It's the whole reason why I'm doing this, is I'm wanting to engage with our audience, and with literally anytime you see me online, please stop in, say hello. I love to interact with you. So keep an eye on our social media. I'm going to be making the schedule for streaming for next week and sending it over and getting it onto the schedule for our social media releases. So you'll be able to see this one more time. Hold on. I talked about this earlier, and it is our merch store. So I have that link at the top of the page there, the teespring.com. I always talk about it, but instead, excuse me, we have Champions of Midgard. Obviously, we call it Gray Fox Basic. It's just our logo with some art. We have some more champion stuff. This is cool. It's a pillow. That's pretty sweet. We have stickers, hoodies, shirts. We have some women's shirts for this design. We're going to be adding women's shirts for the other designs as we go, so those will be up here pretty soon as well. But we have Deception, which is pretty cool. And these are the hoodie. It gives you the pricing on it. You have your sizes down here, your quantity. Would like to do that. Gosh, about Bushido nonstop. We just put some. That's what you can do. Is you can go there. If any of that stuff looked really cool, we're going to be uploading more stuff as we go more often. So yeah, and we'll hopefully get to a point where we have a bunch of different stuff on there. But yeah, so that's that. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm glad this went better than I expected, so I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much. I know War of the Worlds coming and do our giveaways and stuff. You'll be the first person to know about it. So here's that now. I will see everyone.